Hi, welcome to another episode of Sauti Zetu show. According to the Central Bank of Kenya, in 2011, Kenyans abroad sent over 891 million US dollars to Kenya, which is about 75.7 billion Kenyan shillings. And the main purpose for this money is, to support families and lifestyles. And the main issue, the reason why we're sitting here today, is the real estate. Can you add a little bit about that?
Actually, we're here with Tony Jumbo of Jumbo News Sports. He has a website that updates Kenyans on what's going on, and that's www.jumbonewsport.com. And you wrote a very interesting article that was featured in the Sunday Nation about remittances to the diaspora. And there were positive stories as well as horror stories of Kenyans sending money home, and they go through these experiences where they've sent money for, say, to build a house. 2 years later, there's nothing. If you can give us more insight on the people that you interviewed and the experiences that they've had sending money home.
Okay, so actually, this was a culmination of a few dialogues that I've had with friends, people who trusted me enough to let me in on their stories, and some of them felt it would really be beneficial to a whole lot of Kenyans if they shared their stories.
Right.
So I sat down with a couple of them, and I think one of my main subject was a lady who was sending money home to her father to have him build a home because she wanted to move back with her son. So she lives in Massachusetts. So she trusted her father enough to be sending all this money, and she was getting regular updates from her father,
right?
In terms of photos and
so when you say photos, you'll pretty much see like, oh, this is the foundation, and then after a few months, this is how much we've done.
Yes.
Is that what she was getting?
Yeah, pretty much the interior of the house.
Oh, the interior too.
Yes,
Oh, okay. So
wow.
This house was.
Yes. And so she pretty much insisted that she needed a big kitchen and she needed a big bedroom for her son. So the photos pretty much emphasized the size of the room. Yes, and of course, seeing the size of the kitchen, she was really excited. And the bedroom and just the sheer size of the house.
Right.
I mean, she knew she was making.
So she was just working hard, sending money home every month. Month.
How much was she sending?
I think she said probably around $3,000 a month.
$3,000.
That's a lot of money.
Wow.
Yes. And so fortunately for her, she's an RN, and I think they do pretty well.
But they work pretty hard too.
Yes.
In Boston, I know they work very
hard. It's not easy money.
So I think she decided to get a second job with with an agency. I think she said agencies pay much more than her regular shift.
Right.
But that meant she'll be away from her son most of the time. So her son was staying with I think a live-in babysitter. So she didn't want to take him away from home. So pretty much they had someone living with the son at home. So it got to a point where sometime I think in December of that year, one of our friends was going home for the December vacations, and so she was like, "Well, since we've been, you've seen my plot before, they had gone home the previous year." She was like, "So since you've seen my plot before, could you please go and take more photos, from a woman's perspective,
Gotcha.
so she'll know what to take." So I think 2 days after she got to Kenya, she was like, well, she needed to take a vacation to Mombasa. So she was like, let me just go there first and then take the photos and then
take my vacation.
Take my vacation, because she may not get any time after she comes back. So that's when she went, because she knew pretty much where the plot was. So she went there and she was like, because something is wrong, because I don't remember her getting another plot.
Right.
So when she looked around and asked around, well, she was told pretty much there's no activity, no construction activity.
Nothing's been going on.
Yes. So luckily, she could call directly here. So she called and got in touch with her friend who was like, well, stop kidding, just take the photos and send them to me. But she was like, no, I don't see anything. Construction here. Pretty much this place is overrun with shrubs.
Wow.
So that's how she realized nothing was going on.
And when you get to that part of the story before you finish it up, so do you think it was an issue with blind trust? Your family, this is your dad, you're just gonna send him this money, and I guess because it's family, right? They're supposed to do what you want them to do.
Yeah.
Was it just straight up blind trust? And
pretty much, I mean, you wouldn't expect your father to do that to you, So we tend to place our trust in family. We tend to run to those closest to us, and pretty much we trust our family more than friends. So I think the level placed on her father is pretty much up there. I mean, you didn't expect anything less. So for that to have happened to her after all that, I mean, it was just devastating to her. So, but that's just an issue of just trust.
I can imagine, because how long was she sending the money for? That's 3,000. If it was a year, 3,000 times 12. How much is that?
Luckily for her, she started in July, I think, of that year.
Okay.
And I think the house is supposed to be complete in May, so pretty much around 10 months. But she sent for like 5 months.
Oh.
So she said, well, yeah, but other than the monthly 3,000 that she was sending, I think she was sending additional money up front, especially because of the starting costs. So I think it was close to 20,000 by the time she realized.
Okay, and if I could ask, and I was wondering when I was reading the article, did she maybe quote unquote like contract her dad, like, this is what I want you to do, and I'll give you a certain percentage for helping me build this house? Like, one thing I find is, and I've talked to people and they straight up tell me, like, Kenyans, they want to send money to their relatives, they want to pay them to do all this work for them. They want them to go buy them land, which takes like a week, a month, legwork. And this is Kenya. Nothing happens overnight. Nothing happens online. So you send this money and you expect someone who is struggling, probably doesn't make that much money in a month themselves, to go out of their way to buy this land and to start building for you a house, I think that's one of the big issues. And that's why like something like this happened. Like, I don't know if she was paying her dad somehow, or they had an agreement, or was it just straight up like, you're my dad, do this for me?
Well, pretty much what I understood to be happening was she would send a large sum of money, and then it would exceed what he actually needed.
Right.
So the rest
would kind of be for him.
Yes. So pretty much she was getting something out of it.
The comments were by someone told me this, I can't remember, but they said that when you send money home and people see the dollars, they get so excited, like they lose their mind. It's so much money. Like, oh, okay, they've sent me $3,000 and actually asked for this is gonna cost like maybe roughly 1,500, but the extra is like, this is extra tombs, I can use this. So that could be another factor. He said, I can take care of this, but at the same time, let me handle my issues. But she'll keep on sending money, which will cover the next month to cover what I was supposed to do, because it does catch up, right?
Well, but you see, pretty much is if you don't see anything, anything on the ground, she could at least have seen some some clearance of the shrub.
Well, she was seeing photos of the bedrooms and the kitchen.
And then that's the other thing, like, it takes a while to
get there.
So wasn't that, something that...
Well, actually for her, and I think that the thing that may have thrown her off in this case, her father is also a construction.
So he has all the...
So, and I think right now in Kenya, I don't think it's taking that long
to build
as it was before.
Okay.
And we've seen instances where, construction has been completed in a very short time, as opposed to what we used to see
especially
before.
Just sending the money. as long as you have the money, it should go by.
It should go by pretty fast. Yeah.
And it's not like she was getting photos of a completed, interior really.
Okay, true.
But this is
it was not. I think there was not plaster. But she could see the size. I mean, and all the dad would say that that's the interior of the bedroom. I mean, and just take photos from angles, various angles where she could piece that out.
And if he's in that industry, I'm sure he had a bunch of photos.
He knew.
Let me go to this plot and click, click.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
So she had access. I mean, he had access to a whole lot of buildings where he could take photos. So, yeah.
Do you think, we in the diaspora send about $40 billion US back home each year? I believe that's what the World Bank said.
To the whole of
To
Africa.
the whole of Africa.
The whole of Africa.
Yeah.
40 billion. And first of all, it's a good thing when we send money home because we're helping the GDP of our, countries. But don't you think we're fostering a culture of dependency by sending money home? I know it's helping.
I think we are. Because I know people who, on a regular, like every month, you have to send them some kind of money. And I think it's like, okay, are they doing anything with this? Like, are they starting their own business or anything? No, it's just that they're just taking the money and waiting on next month. They're going to get a little something. So I think it is fostering a bad habit.
It does, because it's always a different story every month. And they don't know how much we struggle out here because we also have our own bills, our own situations to take care of. But yeah, sending it home every month and you hear the story, I think it gets to a point where it's tough love. You know what? I can't.
You figure it out yourself. If it's rent you have to pay, figure something out.
Yeah, what are you doing wrong? You're working, so you're not married, you're a single person. What are you doing with your money? So really, you have to, it's just tough love. Just say no, because you have to take care of you. I mean,
that's true.
Yeah, I think the one situation that I could point out to is we do have parents that are actually struggling because of, especially if you've been working with the Kenyan ministries, they're taking too long to pay their pensions.
Yeah, that's true.
And once the pension payments take over a year,
oh my God.
I mean,
and we're not even talking. I've heard of 3,000 Kenyan shillings a month.
It's
getting think about, you worked for the Kenyan government like for 20-30 years.
Oh my goodness.
The service that you've done for them, and this is what you're getting back.
Peanuts.
Retired. So when your parents are retired, we do have to support them when we're out here.
I think the issue that makes this a little bit interesting is how there's some people who cannot bring themselves to say no. There's some people who feel like let me just part with this to just let things just die down. Because there's some, like, in one of the stories, one of the parents, I mean, one of the guys that was in the story, just because he could not send money home, his parents thought he was probably misusing his money with women and all that stuff. So how many of us say, I'd rather just give them the money and just let quiet.
See, and that's, I guess, the whole point, like, we have this show, because people need to understand that, first of all, we're not all RNs, and they make good money, but they work. We're not, First of all, they make good money, but they have to work really hard.
Yeah.
They have to work so many hours. They have to, work on the weekends. It's not an easy job. And, we may be making dollars, good money, but we have bills to pay. We have the rent, we have all this stuff, so...
But the onus also falls on us because we have to think about who are we sending the money to. We can't just send money blindly to, whoever. If you're going to invest in something, you have to send it to the right, person, or is there a trust, or is there...
No. And actually, one of my friends was telling me, like, especially when it comes to real estate, like, I think housing finance and equity, they have this system where they can you send them money, they'll pretty much build the house for you. And even, the brokers, you don't trust them too much, because she was like, they'll tell you land is worth $1 million, and, in the real sense, it's like 700 or something. So they kind of and that's how the brokers are making their money back home. So I think ultimately, let's not trust brokers out there. Let's not trust anybody.
But
some brokers.
If you don't want to go through, the brokers, you when you go home, you can have lawyers out there, sign contracts, paper, because if it doesn't work out, you can sue. I mean, in Kenya, it might take a long time to get your money back. I don't know, but at the same time, legally, you did this the proper way. Eventually, you're gonna get your money back. I'm hoping.
But speaking of professionals, we already have a group of 17 Kenyans suing a big bank in Kenya. Basically, they went through professional.
Oh,
but they did not get
what they expected.
Okay.
So we are talking of 2.8 hectares of land in Athi River.
Oh,
so this bank,
it's
a prominent bank in Kenya.
Oh, what's the bank?
What's the name?
Just say
it's a Kenya Commercial Bank.
Okay, well,
so
let's not trust that bank. Let's go with
so now the problem is, whom do you trust in this case? Because this is the bank that you wouldn't think you'd have tassels with.
So do you go home?
You do it yourself.
So,
just
everything yourself.
Save up the money, go home yourself, stand outside
the 7 months. I'm going to do this.
True.
I do that.
Yeah, and that's the case nowadays. Most people are actually considering just taking time off work.
Taking time off and just go home for 6 months.
Go home.
Yeah.
Just be around as your as your project is going on. If it gets to a point where you need to stop, take a break, you come back and just don't.
But that is not moving forward. That is not the way to do things.
Seriously. It's just I guess it's just an alternative.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you either do it the cheap way. It's difficult.
It may take a long time, but you'll get it done.
Yeah, you'll still get it done somehow.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, I think ultimately, money, they say money is the root of all evil, rather than love of money.
Yes.
It's the root of all evil. So I think you have to just be careful when it comes to money. Be careful how you handle it and who you send it to. And for the rest of that story about the lady, go to Jumbo News Spot to get the rest on that. We're not going to finish it right now.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Tony, for joining us. And we'll see you in another episode of Sauti Zetu.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.